Armada Book for Chapter 5 The Last Emperor Part 2. After several days en route to the Talanaut Empire. Linda, we are being hailed by the Talanaut forward ships. Jesse said and produced a large hologram of the Talanaut commander. Greetings, this is Commander Bursum. We would be honored to escort you to King Manpat. Commander Bursum, wait, you were the one of the commanders we got out of the moon. Lachine and Sarudam beamed in. Yes, Madam Linda, I am honored to meet you again. I am glad to see the first hand of the king with you. Sarudam exclaimed, It's okay Bursum, I know you regard Linda here higher than you do me. You should have greeted me first. Bursum laughed then disengaged. Rebecca and Junie beamed in. I guess your name precedes you, Linda. Sarudam said. Why? Lachine asked. Don't even mind it, Lachine. They believe you are the person who directly relieved millions of Talanauts from their pain. Remember, as with the Datuins, you mobilized millions of refugees to help the millions of Tosban slave refugees. Our people do not forget these things. They do not forget the work. We value work and the effort for the work. Sarudam said. Jesse announced, Manpat is waiting at the palace for your group, Linda. Jesse, tell all the ship commanders to beam immediately after us. Let's go, guys. Jesse, continue flying under escort and park yourselves in orbit. Don't forget your translators on the table. Jesse said. Greetings, Linda, First Hand, Lachine, Rebecca, and greetings to all your commanders coming in. Manpat exclaimed as he stood. He approached Linda and hugged her tight, then he approached Sarudam and hugged him as well, then Lachine and Rebecca. Then Sarudam's family just ran over to embrace Sarudam. Manpat returned to the elevated floor and flanked by his two sons, We are honored with your visit. He then went to discuss how his two sons lead the Tosban Empire and left them with a better set of leaders than before. He also reported on their management of Datuin planets and how they instituted similar institutions. Manpat continued, I know you are pursuing the slave traders. These people are pirates that raid our cities and bring our people to be sold as slaves. While we would love to exterminate these leeches, our hands are tied in keeping the peace amongst three large species. Our forces are at your disposal to use in whatever way you want to pursue your mission. Sarudam interjected, We brought a gift for you, King Manpat, from the Maquis. He raised his hand and a large hologram of Manpat's ship appeared. It also showed his ship beside it. They took the liberty of naming her after Queen Sablan. Although I was vehemently against naming it after your queen, I know you would be very happy. Queen Sablan stepped forward and looked at the ship name in Talanaut language. Looks good to me, Sarudam. Okay, Sarudam, let me hear it. Why were you vehemently against naming the ship after my wife? He was expecting a punchline coming. My dear King Manpat, you would be riding her every day. The palace exploded in laughter. Okay, you got me there, my friend. But I noticed your ship was named after your wife also. They continued to laugh. We studied riding together, remember? Sarudam answered. The queen butted in, Stop this riding jokes, the names are there to remind you who really is in charge. The women jeered the men. Sablan decided to end the discussion, I would like to direct you all to the banquet hall for the feast we prepared for your crew. When they got out of the palace into the palace grounds, they could see their crew already forming a line towards the food tables. What, another party? How long would we party this time, Sarudam? Lachine asked. I think this time, 2 days. Sarudam said and introduced his family to Junie, Lachine, and Rebecca. This is my wife Sarmina, my daughter Sarmi, my middle son Matban, and eldest Rosen. Sarudam's wife approached Linda and embraced her. Thank you, Linda, for saving my family. It was a team effort. Linda said. Sarmina pulled Sarudam to where her relatives were. Please excuse us. Sarmina said. Manpat approached Linda and said, Let's all sit at the royal table. While walking towards the main table, Linda introduced Junie and mentioned Junie was a king of a planet named Rekan. It was a half-circle table with Manpat at the middle. His two sons sat at both ends while Linda sat beside the king and Lachine sat beside Linda. Junie sat beside the queen and Rebecca sat beside Junie. I would like to congratulate Linda and Lachine for the successful repulse of an invasion involving 4,200 ships with only 20 ships. And your handling of the slave traders. Just so you know, Linda, I read the ship logs. And Junie, I know what you did with your planet and I congratulate you for being in the Armada. I have asked Sarudam to get me in but he said no. Imagine, my first hand telling the king no, you cannot join us. Sablan countered, Sarudam told you to manage the kingdom and that's what it is. You gave your word to Andrew. You are lucky to have your friend as wise and forthcoming as your first hand. Linda, you are so famous among my people they proposed a day in your honor to remind them of your work and the circumstance they emerged from. We celebrate your work on the day the first refugee center was set up in the Datuin capital city. I did not know I had so much impact on the people. Yes, you did. Remember that night we went to my people, they thanked me for you. Then when I talked with the leadership of the other aliens like the Dugnogs, your name was mentioned so many times, it's crazy that they can even pronounce your name. Manpat said. So how are the other aliens doing? Linda asked. For the record, we have created a council composed of the other aliens and included the Datuins and the newly elected Tosban Council representative. It's really more commercial and organization rather than military. The Talonauts are tasked to keep the peace because Andrew prevented them from engaging in this line of work. I think we need some help on how to do it. Manpat said and looked at Lachine. I guess we did not teach you that side of the job. I believe I have some people with me who are familiar with the task. Linda said. But make no mistake, our people have worked hard to recover as fast as we can. One thing about our species is that we value hard work really high. It was this work that you did that registered with our people. We all have worked hard to make our galaxies better. My sons worked hard to lift our enemies. Manpat said. To forgive your oppressors is often impossible. But to move on, you must put the past behind. But to work to improve the lives of your oppressors is absolutely beyond forgiveness. And to let your 2 sons, to sacrifice them to do this task is the highest sacrifice for the enemy you had to forgive. Andrew taught this to me when we dealt with the Slanders. My hats to you, Manpat. And more to your 2 sons who felt the pain and had to do the sacrifice to work for those who made them zombies. Lachine said. For a young lady you have achieved more than 3 times your age and you have the wisdom 4 times your age. Your heroism precedes you, Lachine. Manpat said. On a lighter note, we have started to build better ships and the drone production in the Metal Moon has grown 10-fold. Our people are absolutely proud of their work. Trade with the humans, Marantais, Max, the Norsets and Inkies have made our people's lives easier. Now Talonauts are employed all over the galaxy spanning more than 13 BLY. We have received word of praise for their hard work and this has made all of us proud. The money they send back home adds even more to our prosperity. Akenpat said. I believe we have the solution to your pirate problem. Rebecca said. We do? Linda asked. Yes, we do. It's just sitting at their front door. Lachine added. I am lost here. Junie said. Meto. Manpat added. You remember how we crept into the Slander and Makiri galaxies? We used probe drones. How many probe drones do we need to cover the 3 galaxies? Maybe 50,000 drones. When they spot the pirates they can automatically alert the ships to beam in exploding tags to cover the whole ship. After that it would be impossible for any of the pirates to hide anywhere. We have hop ships and drone probes. Lachine said. Rebecca added, or simply crash the drones and destroy the ships or automatically set the plasma cannons to target the tags the pirates have on them. Once they understand this, and since it would be very hard for them to see where the probes are, so rather than look for the probes they move on to the other galaxies to hunt for their slaves. Ultimately they will find it harder and harder to do their work, then they may simply change their line of work. Lachine explained. Or deal with Eric. Linda added. So Eric is going to their home world? Manpat asked. Yes, he would probably set up shop somewhere where he can observe and see what they are really up to. Linda said. Right now there are 300 ships en route to the Tosban holding planet where we would have to infiltrate the Tosban operation of moving the prisoners back to the Tosban home worlds. These pirate ships will arrive in 4 days. Our ships show they are slow but armed. Rebecca said. Why don't we just intercept them? Manpat asked. They are not expecting you to see them coming. Rebecca, how much time do we need to convert the drone probes? Linda asked. We have 20,000 drone probes in our ships from our Slander operations. They can deploy immediately but the Norsets must train a dedicated group of Talonauts to do the job. The science crew can create and install the remaining 30,000 in about 10 days. We can leave 1 science ship to do this when we have to go to join Eric. What they don't understand is that all the Tosbans have been tagged. If we let them join the ships we would be seeding their crew with tagged people that we can monitor from 90 MLY away and scan from 600 MLY. Lachine said. So we let them get the Tosbans and let them go their merry way? Manpat asked. It would be best, Father, to let them be. As they move around we would know the extent of their operations and the people they collaborate with in the planets, whatever species they may be. Akenpat said. Actually, it's SOP for our people to send exploding tags into the ships so we would be able to tag all the crew before they even take the Tosbans in. Linda said. I think we should make this a joint operation to bolster cooperation amongst the species. Manpat said. Also, you can expect some sporadic and isolated uprising from the returning Tosban armies in the next few months. Remember, these people are angry and they want blood. You cannot just tell them that holding slaves is not good. I think you should run a retraining process. Lachine added. This is boofing meat. Junie commented and looked at Akinpat. Yes it is. Isn't it so incredibly soft and tasty? There is a process we can do that will make it even more soft and tasty. I will ask Andy to set up shop here so we can learn from his people. Sarudam said. I cannot imagine this meat becoming even more tasty and soft. Akinpat said. So what do we do, Linda? Manpat asked. Just let us do the prep work, we'll teach your people so they can take over and make this a joint operation. Linda said. You're the boss, Linda. Manpat said. You know, Manpat, everything seems to be going your way. I am glad things turned out so well. Linda said. We try hard not to mess up. We expect problems from the Tosbans, as Lachine pointed out, but you're right, our people are all upbeat and are looking forward to thousands of years of relative peace and continuing prosperity. Remember, we would be living longer. Manpat said. Speaking of living long, make sure your people beam in and out a few times a month to be able to ensure they will live long. Rebecca said, and Manpat nodded. The party lasted the whole day into the night. Lachine retired early to work on her plan to send a 5-ship scout team to drop off drone relay probes and meet up with Eric. Early morning, Lachine beamed into Linda's bridge. Hi Lex, what's up? I have been studying the Libger's planets. They only have 15 planets under their control, but we probably may find millions of slaves in them. Right now we need to set up a drone relay all the way to Eric from the Talonot galaxies. Then we would have to tell Manpat to prepare for another evac operations. And I think this time the slaves would not be Max or Norsets but some other species we may not know about. But then Manpat would insist it to be a joint operations, making secrecy almost impossible. Lachine said. Let me think, Lex, my objective today was really to avoid going down to the party. Now you are giving me something to be serious about. No, we can tell Manpat right now, but he must tell the others later on when they need to know already. We can deploy the scout team to lay the drone relays and probes. Do you have the course laid out? Linda asked. Yes, read and show, Linda. A hologram for the drones showed a hologram from the Talonot to the Libger planets. There will be 2 lines using 1,200 drone probe relays. We would have to look for Eric and then connect to him. All the drones would be hidden in near planets or moons. I think we only have about 3,000 drone probe relays. Linda said. Yes, that's correct, so we would have to send 2,400 probes around them to expand their scanning areas like this. Lachine motioned with her head. The probe locations lighted up. Jesse, tell the Norsets to get ready to launch 1,200 probe relays and 2,400 probes. Linda said. Linda stood up and walked around the back of her chair. It's a repeat of our slave operations. Jesse, how many people do we have from the last slave operations? From all our ships, 12,322. Jesse answered. I want to run an Armada-wide training program to be conducted by the top leaders among these 12,322 to train our new crew. Tell the leaders to meet with me after lunch. Rebecca beams in. Hi boss, Jesse told me you would be using some 3,600 drones? Yes, but don't tell the Talonots why. She then related their plans, and in order to keep the operation secret before Manpat involves all the other species. We would have to tell Manpat now, but that he implements it later on. Where is he, by the way? Lachine asked. Let me guess, he's in his ship. Linda said. Rebecca nodded, in the bridge. Waiting for some action. Lachine looked at Linda. Shall we go? The 3 ladies beamed in before Manpat, who was sitting on the captain's chair. How's your new toy, Your Highness? Linda greeted him. This chair feels so good. So very right. Manpat said. They built that chair based on your body measurements and needs. Lachine said. I want to have my own Olive. How do I do that? Manpat asked. What would you like to name him or her? Rebecca asked. Romita, she was my only daughter who died in the war. How would you like her to look like? Linda asked. Like my daughter. Suddenly a hologram of his daughter appeared. Hello, Manpat, I like the name Romita. Manpat smiled at Linda. Look for Sablin and beam her here, please. Sablin appeared beside Romita. She suddenly began screaming while bowing and shaking her head from side to side. Manpat jumped up to comfort her. Romita explained that she was a hologram of Manpat's ship and he chose their daughter's image to remind him of their lovely daughter. Sablin suddenly stopped, then looked at Romita. Thank you, Manpat. She is as beautiful as ever. Now I want to go back to what I was doing. Manpat embraced her and told Romita to beam her back. Your wife is so understanding. She knows you too well. Lachine said. Yes, she does. Wait, why are the 3 of you here? Lachine began by explaining the need to deploy the probe relays and the need for a quick reaction group to help with the expected refugees. We have a very large team of very experienced refugee helpers and processors that we can deploy at a moment's notice. We have this capability because we realize the need comes up more often than we expected. The Datuins alone required their services for several crisis situations they had no idea how to manage. Some of the Tosban planets suffered several plagues, not really plagues, but outbursts of diseases that affected millions. Like the Datuins, they have no experience addressing these things because they have slaves doing things for them before. Manpat explained. How about cargo or transport ships? Linda asked. I have thousands of transport ships, but only 500 have the regular TPs which the Max was so kind enough to provide for us. I have asked for some 5,000 medium-sized TPs from the Max and they said the shipment will arrive a few weeks from now. Manpat, the information is need to know only. You can only tell the other aliens when the need to know arises. Linda said. How would I know when to tell? Manpat asked. I will tell you when. Linda said. Why don't I just go with you? I want to see my backdoor and the galaxies behind ours. Sarudam would have to approve your offer. Why don't you ask him? He will just say no. But if you support me, he might change his mind. Let me talk to him. Thanks, Linda. I would appreciate it. Linda nodded and told Romita to beam them back to her bridge. The three disappeared. Back at Linda's bridge, Sarudam and Junie were waiting. So he wants to come with us? Sarudam asked. What do you think? Linda asked. I guess it's okay now that his sons are back and the Tosbans are left on their own. This is surreal. A king wants to come with us and asks his first hand to let him. Lachine said. Sarudam explained, sometimes he could be annoying but you can count on him in crisis situations. He is also a very loyal and the very best friend to me. His strength is more managing people to do their job well. He is able to make people do more than they think they can do. Like his two sons who managed the Tosban Empire, he was constantly motivating them and telling them they can do the job, teaching them how to do things and they have done well. He is not a strategist like you or Lachine and he is not aggressive in tearing the enemy apart when he needs to. Finally, he is not proud and will humbly take the training he has to go through to earn his rank. Junie, you have to teach the guy how we do things and how he should do things. Linda said. Sure, my pleasure really. Junie said. The drone relays and drone probes are ready to launch on your order, Linda. Jessie said. Let them go ahead. And tell Manpat that Sarudam has agreed. Linda said. Lachine started to explain to Sarudam and Junie the plan and how they intend to get Eric on the line. Manpat beamed in just as Lachine began explaining. Hello ladies, Sarudam, Junie, and you must be Linda's AI. That was quick. Rebecca said and Sarudam smiled. Lachine started again, read and show the intended route of the relay drones and the positions of the drone probes. We would have to try to contact Eric and see where he is, but I believe he would be around this area here and he probably split his forces and the other half would be around this area. So our probes would be able to contact both groups. Why do you think he would be there? Manpat asked. Knowing Eric, he would split his 200 ships to get a better position in the galaxy where the 15 planets are spread out. The spread is roughly 200 mly and he would position the ships to be 90 mly from each other and the best location would be here behind the planet groups and up from here like Lachine said. He would probably be parked in this gas planet here and here. Then we can assume he would beam probes to the planets below, very close to have visuals. Then he will send infiltrators and taggers. He would be relentless and will not let the enemy have even a slight advantage on anything he may have left out. Linda said. Our probes will reach him in 4 days but we would be able to see them in 3. Rebecca said. Manpat, Junie here will be your trainer. Junie trained under Roger, Ellie and Reek so he has a very keen and technical understanding on how we do things and what is expected of a ship commander. Linda said. Manpat looked at Sarudam. Look Manpat, my king, Junie would be the best guy to train you. He diligently studied all the aspects of Armada operations and missions. Our people understand things very well so they actually preempt our orders. He also did the work the mission crews did so he has a first-hand understanding of what is involved. Rebecca added, there are also continuous training classes and seminars on almost all aspects of Armada operations and more. I understand. I will train under Junie and I will attend the classes and seminars. The pirates will be here in 3 days. I think we should send out word that we are leaving and then park ourselves behind this planet here. Sarudam said. Yes, that's a very good position. Lachine said. The drone probes will be in position tomorrow near the planet prison. I think if we leave today and reach our position tomorrow, we could let 5 ships double back to this planet here so they can tag the pirates inside their ships before they reach the planet prison here. Rebecca said. Yes, in fact if they can beam in a hacker to get into their systems that would be best. Jesse asked around for volunteers. We need 600 brave hackers. Linda said. Rebecca added, they would have 2 days max to hack into their systems and get the intel. Then we can have them leave a remote transmitter to send intel to us as they move along. It's too dangerous to stay 2 days. Just let them install the transmitter if they cannot do their job in a day. Let them install video probes in strategic locations. They have to do everything in less than 16 hours. Otherwise they would be too tired and stressed out to do anything more. Lachine said. I agree. I would rather have less than more if the price is to get found out. Rebecca explained our priorities to the volunteers. Manpat, do you have any intel on the kind of ships the birds are using? Linda asked. No. I don't think so. Manpat, do you have Tosbans loyal to your sons? Junie asked. There are but we cannot trust them. These guys simply must learn how to do the simplest things. Manpat said. How about using the chameleon device? I think I have a few hundred capable Talonauts who would be willing to pose as Tosbans. Sarudam said. Do you know we have the primary directive right, Sarudam? Linda asked. Yes, I will tell them to stay out of trouble so they don't get into a position that their lives would be compromised. Sarudam said. I think it's a very good idea. They should have an implant so we can talk with them. And tell them not to do any spy or infiltration work, just regular pirate work so they would never cause any suspicion. Lachine said. Right. I will go now and talk to the infiltrators. Sarudam said. Jesse announced, we have 1,200 volunteer hackers in the last 5 minutes. These are a mix of humans, Norsets, Inkies and Max. I guess 4 per ship would be a good number. Linda said. I agree. Rebecca said and Lachine nodded. As Andrew would say. It's show time. Manpat, send out word that we are leaving including you within the hour. Linda said. The next day Manpat had a simple ceremony announcing that he and the Armada would be leaving. The Armada have actually left 6 hours earlier and he was beamed to his ship that was already 90 MLY away. After 20 hours they were out of the Talonaut galaxies, but before they left, they deployed the Tosban infiltrators into the planet holding the Tosban prisoners. Along their way they deployed 5 relay probes. The next day, 5 ships under Sarudam was deployed to fly back and intercept the pirate Armada and send the hackers into them. Sarudam deployed relay probes so the main Armada would be able to get in touch with him and vice versa. Sarudam parked his ship within a gas planet 2 days before the pirates reached the Tosban prison planet. When the pirates came within beaming range, the 1,200 volunteers, all cloaked, were beamed into their target ships in the target areas within the ships. Sarudam deployed a dozen drone probes to get a closer scan of the ships as they moved towards the prison planet. The infiltrators were all working quietly without communicating with anybody. At Sarudam's bridge, screens showed the infiltrators in various ships. What surprised him was that the ship was almost empty. Each ship was only operated by less than 100 people. The pirates have no extra warriors that can board other ships. The infiltrators were able to easily and without interruption put camera probes in the bridge of the ship, the main hallways, the engine room, their mess halls and some near the crew quarters. Another pair of hackers were able to get into the ship's data systems and copy their data. In less than 8 hours, the infiltrators were done and started to beam back. One of the hackers stumbled into a treasure room that contained mostly gold tubes 3 inches long and 2 inches wide. They had a lot of diamond crystals from a football-sized gem to a gem as large as a water drum. He tagged a few of the gold stash and beamed some of them back to the ship to study. Then when the hackers realized that each of the ship had a stash, did the same. Sarudam realized that these pirates might be going somewhere to deliver the stash. After 10 hours all the infiltrators have returned and the pirate ships have not even moved out of beaming range. After a while the pirate ships made a turn towards the end of the Tosban galaxy towards a solar system Sarudam knew was uninhabited. Linda, Lachine and Manpat appeared. Hi guys, I found out all the ships have very few crew and now they are turning towards an empty solar system. Sarudam said. Junie and Rebecca's holograms appeared. And what's with all the gold? Rebecca asked. The pirates are going to hide their stash. Linda said. Why would they come all the way here just to do that? Sarudam asked. I think we should fly over to their target solar system ahead of the pirates and have a look. Junie suggested. The stash is to pay for something. Maybe a Tosban general is getting paid for his Tosban warriors. I would suggest we tag the stash then we not go there but send a probe to wait for the people who will get the stash. Then we follow the money. I am so sure they will bring it back to the Tosban galaxies to mount a rebellion or something. Lachine conjectured. I agree with Lachine. I have been hearing reports of a rebellion being planned at the most outlying planets, maybe 10 planets involved. They just need some money to get their act going. Manpat said. Have the Norsets learned anything from the pirate data systems? Linda asked. It will take them until tomorrow to make sense of it. Sarudam said. The next day Sarudam found the pirate ships orbiting a gas-covered planet 90 MLY away. He observed a lot of transport ships going down, and on the screens he saw the stash being loaded into the transport ships. He noticed the pirates were wearing a thick rounded black suite with a large headgear. Sarudam asked his ship AI, Sarmi, to go get a body and go down to plant drone probes around the area where they are hiding the stash. When the probes started sending their images, Sarudam found that there was a large cave with a large opening the transport can actually fly into. The probes showed that the cloudy air was toxic to talonauts and almost all species. Sarmi exploded several tags inside the caves as the pirates kept filling the cave up. It took the pirates almost a day to finish transporting their stash into the cave. When they were done, they blew up the mouth of the cave, effectively sealing it. Sarmi, beam all the gold into our ship's storage bays. Leave the crystals. Sarudam said. Sarmi appeared. The gold stash will be completely beamed into the bays of the 4 ships in 2 minutes. We will leave 1 ship here to wait and follow the people who will get the stash. Sarudam said, and prepare to leave for Linda after we get them all in. Make sure we have a continuous probe line so we can watch the stash and see who will come and get the stash. The Norsets tell me that their data systems reveal where they got the gold. The pirates were paying a Tosban group the money for Tosban mercenaries. The Tosban groups has only one contact name in the data system, a certain Bargaman, a general in the Emperor's army. The mercenaries were recruited to fight a coming war with an invading force from beyond their solar system. They call these species Gribs. It did not say why they are being invaded, but it said it would be happening in 20 days. So they have to rush, get the Tosban warriors and fly all the way to their home planets. They also believe that by the time they reach home, it would be a ground operation since the invaders shall have landed in at least 4 of their 15 planets. Sarmi said. Transfer the intel to Linda's ships. Sarudam said. After a day, Sarudam was within beaming range and he went over to Linda's bridge. Sarudam, good to have you back. So we are in the middle of a war between 2 groups. Linda said. So you just robbed the pirates of their gold? Manpat asked. I was thinking of dumping it on one of the planets. It was a bit heavy for the ships and required more power to maintain our regular speed. Sarudam said. Isn't gold valuable to you guys? Manpat asked. Not really. We can make gold using our formulators if needed. I figured we might need them later. Sarudam said. Eric's hologram beams in. Hi guys. It's good that the probes found me. Good thinking guys. We were just talking about all the gold. Linda said and related what happened to Sarudam. Eric agreed, I'm with Sarudam, we might need them later. Just distribute the stash among the ships to lighten the load per ship. Jesse, tell the ships to even out the load. Linda said. Okay, let me report to you that I found that the pirates have hidden their slaves in a planet outside their main solar systems. I have completely tagged all the slaves, about 10 million, which include some Talonauts, Dugnogs, Lonins, Seoigs and 2 other aliens we have never met before. One would be the Gribs mentioned in the database Sarudam got into. Now an invading force of Gribs have taken over 5 of their planets. We have translators for the aliens we know and the Norsets are trying to come out with translators for the Gribs and the other alien species. Eric said. Maybe they were trying to get their people back from the pirates. Junie conjectured. Is there a way to negotiate? Lachine asked. We would have to negotiate for both sides. Linda nodded. We will be in beaming range tomorrow. Rebecca said. My scan shows the 400 ships about 120 MLY away and they will be here in 15 days. I believe I have identified the invaders' command center. Now the pirates and their Tosban mercenaries will be here in 20. Eric said. It could be a bloody mess. Linda said. We can stay in the sidelines, get the slaves out and return them to their planets. After they finish fighting the pirates will be defeated and we go on our merry way. Sarudam said. The alien slaves must be important for an armada to go in, occupy some planets, wait for reinforcement and rescue them. Maybe some VIP or royalty among the slaves. Lachine said. That could be. I have sent some Max down yesterday to investigate their conditions. I will tell them to look for the VIPs. Eric said. I will talk to my sons and tell them to launch at least 100 ships to move the refugees out. Manpat said. No need Manpat, there are only 10 million slaves, and we have 400 ships. Maybe you can just send some food and medical personnel. Linda countered. You're right, Linda, I'll tell them to send food and personnel. Manpat said. The next day the two armadas were within 50 mily of each other and each group positioned their ships at two ends of the 15-planet group in 6 solar systems behind planets. They all beamed into Eric's bridge to discuss how to approach the problem. Lachine started, I think if we can make an ally of the invading force, we can considerably weaken these pirates. They already occupied 5 of their planets, so there is a strong chance they will succeed. I also believe the mercenaries will not fight well. Maybe even leave the battlefield. Linda added. Or we can pay them with gold. Manpat said. That's exactly what I expect from you, Manpat. And I agree. And may I add, a lot of gold. We can tell them about the gold mines of the pirates. Sarudam said. Why is gold so valuable to them? Lachine asked. Besides the industrial use, I think the decorative and symbolism of wealth. Linda said. But why do we have to pay the invaders, to be friends with them, sure as a sign of goodwill? But to protect the pirates, I don't see why we should protect them. The way we operate is that we try to minimize casualties on both sides, right or wrong. Then after the negotiation, we can ask them to stop or leave the galaxies, or we can get their leaders and detain them. We can then ask them to reorganize along our requests. Eric said. I can see if there are 2 countries fighting, but these are leeches and parasites who live at and make it their living of giving pain to others. Piracy is what they know and how they live. Junie said. Then we can just put them all in one planet, remove all space travel capabilities and deploy several probes in orbit to make sure they do not leave. Eric said. Then that would be our request to the invaders in exchange for gold. Linda said. And you're right, Lachine, there are VIPs among the Grib slaves. The Max realized that the Gribs were serving this group like royalty. When the Norsets finished with the translators last night, the Max went down again and listened in. The VIP group is headed by a Grib named Lossat who they address as a prince, and he has an assistant, a Commander Trismat. Eric said. Another ace up our sleeves. Lachine commented. I agree. Manpat said. So shall we talk to the Gribs already? Linda asked. Yes, your translators are on the table behind me. Eric said. They all got their translators and Linda helped Manpat with his. Kristen, beam us in front of the commander of the occupying Gribs as holograms, please. Make sure you send taggers in and tag all of them. Eric said. Greetings, we come in peace. Eric exclaimed. As usual, the Gribs started shooting at them for a few seconds. Eric and his group just stood there quietly waiting for the Gribs to stop shooting. The Gribs were lanky creatures, a mix between Talonauts and newer Dugnogs. Their limbs were long like the new Dugnogs, but their heads were like Talonauts or Marantais but finer, with clear light brown skin, a small mouth, 2 doe eyes and 4 nose holes. No hair, but their heads had 2 long crowns. They also had a very short tail like a continuation of their crown. They were wearing dark brown leather-like uniforms with several symbols on the chest. Their leg uniform had a golden metallic part on their side, maybe to shield their legs. Their weapons were stuck on their chest and their weapons fire from their shoulders. Standard laser. They also had 2 other sets of long firearms. One shoots exploding lasers like plasma weapons but much weaker and much slower in velocity. The other long arm had a bigger beam of laser shooting at short bursts. After a few seconds, the firing stopped. Linda started talking. She introduced the group one by one. This is Eric, our leader, the Talonaut King Manpat, and his first-hand Sarudam, Junie, Rebecca, and Lachine. Who is in charge here? Eric asked. My name is Princess Naimeen, I am the leader here. A smaller Grib with the height of the regular Grib warrior walked in front of them. You 2 are Talonauts, but the others we have never met before. What do you want? Naimeen asked. Oh, we came to bring good news. Kristen, bring the prince and his group over here, please. Eric said. Suddenly the prince, his commander, and his entourage appeared before them. Linda whispered to Kristen to beam the other Gribs inside their facilities. Brother, is that you? Naimeen asked. Naimeen, what happened? Lossat asked her. Naimeen ran over to Lossat and embraced him. Naimeen greeted, Commander Trismat, good to see you again. Yes, Your Highness. I am again honored to be in your presence. Trismat answered. Your people are already inside your facilities, so I suggest you respond to their needs. Some are in really bad shape. Some may die within the hour. Linda said. Naimeen nodded to one of the commanders and he ran out. We also have some gold for your troubles. Kristen, send all the gold to their ships on the ground, some here. Eric said. A large pile of gold appeared before the brother and sister. Kristen told Eric some would have to be beamed into the incoming ships. Eric nodded. One of the operators in the bridge told Trismat that several large piles of gold appeared in the hangars of 100 ships. Trismat commented, "That's a lot of gold. Why are you doing this?" Nymin asked. "To stop the conflict and to be one of your friends. We also try to keep the peace around the Talonot galaxies." Linda said. "Why are you helping the pirates?" Lasat asked. "We are not. We will confine them to 1 or 2 planets, remove all the spaceflight capabilities and let them live. When their armada arrives in 19 days, we will remove them from their ships, remove their Tosban mercenaries, and transport all their ships into one planet." Eric said. "Why do you value these pirates' lives?" Trismat asked. "The same reason we value yours and all the other slaves' lives." Linda said. "I would like to thank you for bringing my brother back to me. So King Manpat, we heard about you. You are the conqueror of the Tosbans and the Datuins. But you are not the leader of this group?" Nymin asked. "No, I am training under Junie here." Nymin looked at Junie, then at her brother. "You have a strange group." Lasat said. "We are always strange." Linda said. "That's not important. I would like to thank you and I hope we can meet again under less stressful situation." Lasat said. "You're welcome. If you need anything else in order for you to leave, please tell us now." Eric said. "We need nothing more." Nymin said. "We will leave you on your way while we deal with the 10 million slaves and bring them all back to their planets. We will deal with them when we finish with the slaves in maybe 5 days. So if you need anything we will be around for a few days." Eric said. Eric and his group disappeared. "Those aliens are really strange." Nymin commented. "Let's all go home." Lasat said. Nymin nodded to her commanders and the commanders issued their orders to leave. At Eric's bridge. "So we need to move these pirates around. Let's deposit them all into the most industrialized planet." Eric said. "How many are we talking about?" Linda asked. Kristen answered, 2,189,030 pirates and their families on the ground. The most industrialized planet would be the one in middle of the solar system. Kristen, send out all the taggers and tag the pirates. As soon as they are tagged, beam them right away to the planet. Eric said. The taggers have started to deploy. I estimate them to be finished in an hour. Kristen said. After an hour. Launch the attack drones and destroy all their shipbuilding facilities in the holding planet. Look for ships on the ground or in orbit and destroy all of them. Eric said. Show me the refugee planet and scenes on the ground, Kristen. Linda said. More than 24 screens popped out around them showing different alien refugees. Beam them by alien group into the second most industrialized planet. Make sure they are separated among the city locations so we can care for them separately. Linda said. Why don't we just beam them to the ships by alien groups and go straight to their planets and deliver them? In 3 days we can deliver them all except for the one alien we don't know. Manpat suggested. Linda nodded. Right, Manpat. Kristen, how many Dugnogs are there? 3,420,101 Dugnogs. Deliver them to 120 ships and I will fly them over to the Dugnogs right away. Linda said. Why don't you just send them back to the Talonot galaxies so they can move through the hops to reach their home? That would be faster. Lasheen said. It's more personal if you bring them yourself. And besides, we have all the time until we can deal with the Armada. Linda said. I agree, a personal approach goes a very long way. Manpat said. How about the Lonins and Seoigs, how many are they? Sarudam asked. 2,012,133 Lonins and 2,458,562 Seoigs. Let me take 80 ships and fill them up with the Lonins and I will fly over the Lonin galaxies and deliver them. Sarudam said. Lasheen, take 100 ships and bring the Seoigs to their homeworld. How many are the other aliens? Eric asked. Only 402,915 of them. The remaining are Talonots. Kristen said. Just beam the Talonots to the second most industrialized planet so my people can take care of them. Manpat said. I will leave 20 ships with you, Junie. Take care of the Talonot refugees while I take the unknown aliens home. I just have to know where their home worlds are in the first place. Manpat, you're with me. Eric said. I think the Norsets have devised a translator already. Let's talk to them. Linda said. The Norsets are trying to hack into the data systems on the other planets besides the one holding the pirates. Maybe we can find out where they came from. Sarudam said. Kristen, launch the attack drones from the 20 ships under Junie and destroy all their shipbuilding facilities in the holding planet. Look for ships on the ground or in orbit and destroy all of them. Eric said. Why don't we all head to the mess hall before our jobs become messy? Linda asked. My thoughts exactly. Sarudam said. Eric did not know it, but he would be traveling 1 BLY to bring the aliens they have not encountered, known as Crintelis, home.